I got these guys to stand up. I can't believe it. Thank you very much. So nice to be here. What are we doing? Q&A or something?
Yes, sir. I know you got distracted by your rock star welcome. How was that?
That was very. Come on in. We haven't started. Don't worry. We're a bit young. All right, no swearing. Then let's put a kibosh on that. That's pretty much 3/4 of my stories out of the window.
They've been warned. Okay, they know.
Oh, okay. Why am I known for a potty mouth?
A little bit.
Me.
They know.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you about a couple of my favorite projects, as always, and then we'll turn it over to the audience. Sound good?
Yeah, that's always more interesting, really, if you want to know the truth, because, you know, but they know just to ask intelligent questions.
What do you want to do? Ouch.
No. She's worried now.
No. Now, you know me. We've done this a lot.
We have.
Yeah, he's just poking at me.
I know, yes.
I want to know about your experiences working on one of my childhood favorite films, Time After Time.
Yeah, it's a great film, I think.
What?
A beautiful film.
You guys gotta watch it.
If you haven't seen it, it's it doesn't really age, because it's H.G. Wells chasing Jack the Ripper into modern society, and H.G. Wells, was the great socialist, so-called, of his period, and he was all for emancipation of women and the women's vote before it was popular to be. And he was a remarkable man in many ways, H.G. Wells, and of course wrote The Time Machine. And Nicholas Meyer turned it into a script, and that they're all having dinner in Victorian London, and the surgeon, David Warner, is a bit late. Harry goes down. Wells shows his time machine. David Warner jumps in it and clicks, and off he goes to San Francisco, I guess it was 79, right? Yeah, something like that. And so, and then Wells recalls it and chases him, and comes into a world which is way in the future, 100 years or more in the future. And so it's kind of cool that, actually not even, it's only 80 years. And so it's really a very charming kind of love story thriller. So I don't know why I'm giving you the plot. Anyway, that's what it's all about. It's really a lot of fun. And it gave me the opportunity, instead of playing Jack the Ripper, which is what I would normally be playing, Nicholas Meyer stuck his neck out and offered me the leading man part of H.G. Wells, who falls in love with Mary Steenburgen, and it was her second movie, and my second marriage, actually. I went hand in hand, 2 children, so that's why the film is so dear to my heart, because I got 2 beautiful children as a result of that film. So no complaints from me, they're amazing. And Charlie McDowell is a very talented director. I just did a film with Glenn Close. So, yeah.
What was it like working with the late great David Warner?
Well, David was a friend of mine from Stratford, way 1963. We were good friends, and although he was, playing Hamlet at a very young age, 21, I think, he was the sort of Beatles Hamlet. Like that. He wasn't the traditional, Shakespearean kind of actor, plummy, loud, and emoting. He was all hip, quick. If you didn't catch it, you missed it, that kind of thing. And so, he was very popular. Strange guy. He was a weird kind of loner, but for some reason, he and I got on from the moment. I met him, and I was playing small parts. He was, Hamlet, and so, I'll tell the story. He used to laugh, but if he came out of the stage door, there'd be like loads of girls kind of screaming, waving at him, and I'd say, "Which one?" He'd go, "One red." I go, "Excuse me, darling. No, you. Mr. Warner would like to have a drink, but is this your friend?" "Oh, yes, both of you. Let's have a drink and let's have a bit of fun," or whatever it was. It was all very innocent in that day and age, of course. But so he used to call me his wingman, which was a fairly accurate description. But and then he was the first person to introduce me to the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. So I kind of remember that because that was a real moment in one's life, because Pet Sounds, very influential album, and it was kind of, people didn't know the Beach Boys so much in England. It was all Beatles, the Stones, and the Kinks, and this and that, so many groups, but the Beach Boys was really something else. I really loved him, and he's the one that said, "Listen to this." Yeah, and he was a dear guy, and so we'd known each other, and then he was cast in Time After Time, and that was fantastic. But but he admits this, it was the last throes of his alcoholism, and he cleaned up, I think, straight after this thing. I didn't really notice, to me it was just David, and he was fantastic. But come night shoots, that's when it got a bit difficult. But you know what? I loved him. I didn't care. Really, he's a great guy. Very much a part of my history, and an incredible actor. So much better than the film parts he played. You watch him on stage, you never watched anybody else. He was that charismatic. Well, look at the guy, look at the way he looked. He was like a long drink of water. And hunched, gangly, floppy walk. And you were absolutely mesmerized by him. I thought he was one of the greats. Very underestimated, actually. And I know his memory went towards, the last few years and stuff. Hey, whose hasn't? But which was stopped him from doing more. But he was just a great guy.
All right, this is a horror convention. Can we talk about cat people?
Yeah. Cool movie, yeah, cool movie. Well, first off, Natasha, she was considered, I think, the most beautiful woman on the planet now. How ridiculous is that? But, it sells magazines, right?
Yes.
But there was a picture of her with a python, which was like the Farrah Fawcett shot, And when I heard I'd be working with her, I was delighted because she was so beautiful, but she's also a damn good actress. I'd seen her in Tess, and that she did with Roman Polanski. That wasn't the only thing she did with Roman. She was, she was a very beautiful girl. Now, she started having this thing with the director, big mistake, and halfway through, came into my dressing room and said, "Malcolm, I can't stand it." I went, "What?" Because I'm looking to you to help me. I went, "Don't even bother. I'm not getting involved. You make your bed, you lie in it." And you started this thing with him, and of course, it's never a good idea, now, and so she hated the film from here on in, which was a shame because she was wonderful in it. And, it's kind of a sort of weird time. I think it was on that film that John Belushi died. That kind of sent a tremor through Hollywood, you know. So weird things like that. But, you know, Schrader's really, I liked him. I liked him a lot. He did a really good job, I think. And it's kind of I'll tell you a funny story, actually. I was doing a movie in Rome. We were all staying at the Sheraton. I can't remember the title. It was about I was playing the prison, the warder or something. And we had all this cast of, you know, big, broodies guys, like these guys, big guys. Tex, what's his name? You know the guy, what's his name? Big, it was a boxing.
Tex Cobb?
Thank you. Tex Cobb, who I think went the full distance with the world champion, who was Larry Holmes at the time, which was pretty much something. And I went, you went all the way with Larry Holmes. Because you know, and he went, yeah. I went, and what's so great about you, Tex? I went, is that that jab? I goes, just how big is that jab? He goes, hold up, phone book. So I was holding the phone book from Rome. It was like this, and he went, Pop! And I went, and I went, yeah, I get it. Thanks for the demonstration. Anyway, we were all staying in the Sheraton Hotel, and they had one English language movie that played for the week. And of course, up comes Cat People. So the first night, the next day everyone's going, God, man, that Cat People, oh, wow. I've never seen it, I'm so glad. And then third, second, third, fourth, fifth night, people are going, God, I'm so sick of that fucking movie. So nothing else on? I went, well, if you speak Italian. Yeah, I must say I was pretty irritated myself. Tone it off. Yeah, so Cat People, it's a cool movie. You know, they came to, I didn't really want to do it, to be honest. I was doing a play in New York, Look Back in Anger, and I didn't really want to do a horror movie, to be honest. And they went, well, they really want you to do it. They're coming to the play, and then they want to take you out after. I went, oh, okay. So I wasn't sure, there were two of them, and I wasn't sure who was who. So I wasn't sure who was the director, who was the producer, or whatever. So we get into a limo, and they're driving around, and then one of them gets off, and the other, I'm stuck in the limo with this guy. I don't know who the hell he is. I presume by this time, by sheer elimination of numbers, that he must be the director, but he didn't say anything. And I thought, well, are they supposed to be talking me into doing this? When they've got a funny way of going about it. So I'm just sitting there, and there's silence. So, you know, I've been talking all night during the play, so I'm just happy just to sit there. So in the end, I looked at him and I went, I'm not embarrassed by these long pauses, by the way, just so you know. And he actually said, he goes, you know, I was brought up by Jesuits, and I always find it's hard for me to, and I went, oh, okay, some religious thing, is it? I went, okay, so what's the deal with this movie then? Let's just get down to it, and if you want me to lead it, I'll lead it. Do you want me to do it or not? He goes, well, yeah, that's how I went, okay, so he goes, do you want me to see the original? He said, yes, the original's really great, but only one scene. Yes, you're shaking your head as if you know what you're talking about. Clueless, let me tell you.
Because I'm just saying, one scene.
Well, there is, the original Cat People is a little creaky, let's be honest. It was made in the 50s, and it was made for like $25. But there is a terrifying sequence in a swimming pool, indoor swimming pool, like the YMCA or something, where she is swimming alone, and you just see the shadows of this cat. And it's quite terrifying. You never see the cat, you don't have to. It's way better when you don't see the cat. And so I saw that and I thought, wow, yeah, just copy that. You know, if you want to copy something, that's what you copy. But he wasn't into copying. So the only thing, I used to be very facetious when asked by the press, did you learn anything on it? Yes, I learned how to walk and act backwards. Because there is a shot where my character walks in up the steps, walks in and stops by her bed and just does a complete up in the air and lands on. So I start off on the thing, jump back down and walk backwards through the door, down the hallway, backward, down the steps, and then they reverse it. So it looks kind of stealthy and a little weird because I'm walking backwards, so it's not my usual gait. And then suddenly, pounce up, magic of the movies, and it didn't cost a dime. No green screen, no computers, no. Just very simple, which is what they used to do in the old days, and it worked.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for the intelligent question, so you guys better make it good. Yes.
So, you're very known for your face, but I would even say more so you're known for your voice. Between Metalocalypse, Castlevania, Bolt, what's one of your favorite things you've lent your voice to?
You know, people want to hear what favorite. I don't have favorites. You go in, you know, I used to do animation because I had young kids and they loved to go, oh, that's Dad's voice or something, you know, okay, that was fun, a fun game. So that's why I did them, and then they used to send me in, and when they were grown up and gone, I kind of just did it. They don't pay very much, but I kind of love it because you can do it, you know, but ask me what they are, I really don't know. I mean, often I go, whoa, wait a minute, what was this one? I didn't, you know, the only one I really remember was Superman, which was a really good one. And we had a very good director on that. And I did Phineas and Ferb, played the old And I did that because my kids loved that show. So when they wanted an old grandpa, I went, yeah. I think they even made him from Liverpool. I'm not even sure, which was kind of cute. So, but I do love voice acting. I remember once being at one of my first cons, and sitting there. The guy comes up to me and said, "Do you have any Fallout 3?" And I went, "What?" He goes, "Fallout 3." I went, "Fallout 3? What are you talking about? I've never been in a movie, Fallout 3. He goes, "Yeah, you have." I went, "Absolutely not. If I was in 3, I'd be in 1 and 2. Right? I don't remember Fallout." And he goes, I went, "Absolutely, you're getting me mixed up with somebody else. Probably John Hurt or something." So he goes off, signed a few things, and an hour later he comes back with the box. And I looked at it and I went, "Oh, it has my name on it." Oh, well, okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't put any money on that one. Well, what's it about? He goes, "Well, it's a video game." I went, "Well, there you go. They probably called it something else." I literally must have spent, I think, 2 hours doing it. And all I remember was, we did it somewhere in Santa Monica, and I did my very bad impression of Ronnie Reagan. I'm sitting here, this is your president speaking from the Oval Office. My fellow Americans. That's it. That's all I did. And they love it. They love it. In fact, people ask me on cameos, would you do it in, you know, and I went, this is a cameo. I'm not giving acting instructions. But it's kind of cool. It's fun. Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
I know you worked with the great Stanley Kubrick. How
Yes.
did you get along with him? Was he nice to you?
This is what I'm talking about when I say intelligent questions. you know, what's it like working with Stanley Kubrick is not in this category because, I mean, how long have we got? You mean, I can give you an hour, I give you 15 seconds, which is what you get. I really enjoyed it. Okay. The guy is, look at the work.
Yeah.
I mean, Kubrick was, this is what he'd done when I met him. Paths of Glory, Spartacus, Lolita, Strangelove, 2001, Clockwork Orange. So I'm like, wow, this guy's not only directed movies that people want to see, but these are intelligent movies. I mean, you really have to be smart to figure them out. And what makes him so incredible, in my view, is that he directed masterpieces in every genre. So when he did 2001, which I think, honestly, I'd like to say it was the movie I made with him. I think 2001 is one of the most important movies ever made, per se. It took science fiction on a huge leap. And what Kubrick did, his brilliance and knowledge of camera and what could be made possible, and the models they used, I mean, it makes Star Wars look like, which is what they are, computer-generated stuff. But Kubrick, there were all these amazing models, and you know, it's just absolutely staggering, the look, I think. So, I'd have to say, is it my favorite Kubrick movie? No, because I think it's a load of old nonsense. I mean, but the balls to start a movie, 45 minutes when nobody speaks. Take that, Hollywood! Can you imagine them freaking out? What is he doing? Jesus! And the truth was, he got the worst reviews of any Kubrick movie. They went for him, so it was a pile of crap. Yes, you check. But where he was absolutely saved was because the counterculture, and I'm looking around this room and I'm thinking, we have a few here. The counterculture saved his ass. And they said, this is one of the greatest movies ever made, and let's have another joint, and we'll go and see it again. And then they put around, you know, rumors like one of the apes has sneakers on. Of course, bullshit. You know? But it's an amazing movie, really. What it's about, I have no idea. But the end is very powerful, and the end was told to me by Christiana Kubrick, his widow, and said, yeah, Stanley used my stove in my kitchen for that end shot, where the whole implosion of the black hole and the whole thing, it's shot in a pan of an ordinary, you know, big soup pan, filled with like 2 inches of water that's boiling, simmering, steaming. The camera brought right down, right into it, and then they've got droppers, this little, you know, little droppers of glycerine with colors in them, and they just doing this, and it's swirling in the mist and steam, and that became the whole ending of that movie. Is that simple little shot, and it takes a genius like Kubrick to figure that out.
What was it like working with Peter O'Toole, but not just working with him on the set of Caligula?
Peter O'Toole is a giant to me, you know, because he's a generation ahead of me, and he's Lawrence of fucking me.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So I remember being, when I was a young actor, 20 years old, and I was working at the Royal Shakespeare Company in London, and somebody said, hey, there's a party in Hampstead, you just got to bring a bottle. So you go and find the cheapest bottle of Van Ordinaire that you could find and take it and get into the party. So that we're all at the party, and like at midnight or something, suddenly there's like a hush. And suddenly at the door is standing Lawrence of Arabia. There he was with his fake bleached hair, a cigarette holder as thin as that, with boots, with his jeans tucked into high boots, and him looking around with that, flashing that great smile. And hello, darling, hello. And I go, Jesus, that's a movie star. And so that was the first time I ever met him, was there. And then I used to see him on stage occasionally and love his work. He was a brilliant comedian, actually. And of course, Lawrence is one of the great performances. Well, it's one of the great movies, epic movies. Still is. And but so when we did Caligula, you know, he was Peter was, you know, addicted to something at any one time. I don't know what. He ended up with cocaine when he played Macbeth. Swords were flying out of his hand. And, you want blood? I'll give you blood. Poured the whole prop, blood bucket all over it. And but he was into marijuana in a big time. So, you know, he was pretty stoned. But who's to say that Tiberius wasn't a stoner? You know? I mean, it gives it a whole different kind of edge. And it was just fun because he's a fun guy. You know, he goes, you see this guy? I went, yeah. He goes, it's the, you know, he's the producer's love. I went, oh, I thought. He goes, yeah, he's a footballer. He plays for Juventus. And now he's with the producer, love him. I went, oh yeah, really? He goes, watch this. Now the guy was supposed to kill him. As the guy goes through, O'Toole is supposed to be like comatose, went and shoved it up on his breastplate, whammed him in the face, and kind of knocked him out. And he looked at me and said, well, yeah, I see what you mean. He just was a lot of fun, but you know, he's a very naughty boy. And that's why we love him. You know, him and Richard Harris, they're all this generation of piss artists. They love to go on the piss. In England, that means get really drunk. And so they, you know, when they were doing Beckett, it is told that they met before and said, listen, we want to do this, we want to be great in this film. We're going to absolutely, on the wagon, no drinking at all. And they did everything, and all they had was one shot left. The next day, I think one of them had to walk up the nave of Canterbury Cathedral and bend down, and he'd been touched by the sword, or whatever it was, or praised by the bishop. That's right, praised. And they were up all night, telling stories on the piss. They bleary-eyed get there, they in makeup, coffee, and they're like, oh, I got it. He just took forever walking down the nave, Canterbury Cathedral, you know, and he was like, just keep going, just keep going. He knelt down and just went boom, all the way down, and they never got him up. So I think they used the stand-in and shot it from the back. But that was the kind of thing, you know, that's kind of what was going on. And these are the stories as a young actor. I was hearing that and it was like, wow, you know, why would you want to, you know, destroy yourself like that? And then when I got there, I realized, wow, you know, these real drugs? What's that one? Okay, that's right. You know, that's anyway, any more intelligent questions? Oh, okay, I'll come back to you. Yes, sir.
Huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Black Orange. I know you like all your stuff. I have a question. How hard or easy did you find playing the character, finding the psyche of the character?
You know, that was a really difficult one. Because it's not naturalistic. And Stanley was no help at all on character. You know, he was great with camera, all that, genius. I asked him, I said, we've talked about everything, Stan. I said, but I'd like to talk about the character of Alex. And he went, hey, that's why I hired you. And walked away. It's absolutely true. So I thought, fuck, you know, I've got to find something. Well, luckily for me, I had this dear friend, Lindsay Anderson, who had directed If. And Kubrick had cast me from seeing If. I never did an audition, just gave me the part. So I called up my friend Lindsay Anderson and I said, would you read the script? And he goes, oh God, do I have to? I went, please. He went, come on over. I went over to his flat in London, gave him the script. And while he was reading the script, I went out for a coffee or something. I come back, the first thing he says is, well, thank God I don't have to direct this. I went, I know, it's not your kind of thing. I said, but can you give me anything at all? He gave me singularly the greatest piece of direction I've ever had, before or since. And he just said, there's a shot in If where you open the gymnasium doors to be beaten, and you look at the prefects, you look and you smile. He said, that's how you play Alex. Yes, yes. Somehow it's so simple, and yet, you know, I couldn't see it, and it was in front of my face. So we get there the first day of shooting, and it's me in the Ludovico Center, in bed after one of the, you know, the treatments, and I'm sitting in bed, and this nurse comes in with a shot, right? To give me a shot in the ass. And Stanley, so I get that, Stanley goes, oh, now, would it be okay if she, you know, gives you a shot? And I went, what, you mean the actress? He went, well, yeah, you know, it's in your ass, you know. I went, well, but what about, you know, the retractable needle thing? I mean, what's wrong with that? And he goes, well, I just thought it would be really, you know, kind of real. I went, yeah, okay, I see that, okay. And her name was Madge Ryan, a brilliant Australian actress. And so I said, Madge, what do you think? She's like shaking, right? She is, and we're playing the scene, and I notice a lot of perspiration on the upper lip, and I see the hand shake, and I'm thinking, oh, holy shite. And then I take my things out, give her my ass, and she throws this thing in like she's throwing it into a hippopotamus or something. She threw it in with such verve that it went up to the hilt. And it was this long, the needle. But I smiled. Fucking hell, that hurts. Wow, okay. I got this. She's trembling, and because she wanted to get it over so fast, she literally just put all this distilled water in my ass. It went a huge bubble like this, and I went, flew out of that bed like this, going, what the fuck? I'm not doing that again, Stanley. We'll use the retractable, which is what we did. It looked perfect. It was interesting that I kept a smile as long as I could. And it's really weird. It got me through the first 2 days. I never remembered it again. In fact, I didn't even realize until 2 years later, I'd forgotten that he told me that. And I suddenly went, oh my God, yeah, it was Lindsay who gave me the key to the character. And that's what he was, a genius. Lindsay Anderson was a genius. And if you've never seen If or Oh Lucky Man, then you're missing a great big chunk of cinema history, because they're two amazing movies. He also made a great movie with Richard Harris called This Sporting Life, which is an amazing movie also. But If, I think, is his masterpiece. And luckily for me, that was my first film. So, but as he said to me at the end, well, Malcolm, it's all downhill for you. Now, you're never going to make a better film than this. And I went, well, watch me. But to be honest with you, I never did make a better film than that. It was just perfect. And Clockwork's great, but If is a masterpiece, I think. But there you are. The great thing about cinema is, everybody has their opinion. Yes.
Filmmaking, well, acting is a collaborative experience, whether that's in person or voice acting. And what I just wanted to know is if you had any trouble with the transition between being on set or on stage where you have a bunch of people around you at all times to the sometimes rather lonely experience of voice acting where it may be just you and a producer or you and a director. And has that also presented any challenge in the modern era where sometimes they're just having people in for a day to shoot a single scene or zoom into a movie or something?
Acting's acting. It's just a different delivery system. Okay? I won't be taking that one. I owe him money. There's no difference, really. I mean, okay, so I'm sitting in a booth, I have to recreate in my mind something that maybe I'd walk into on a set or on a stage. On a stage, it's subtle differences, but at the heart of the thing, the emotion is the same. So but if I want people to look at my face in close-up when I'm on a stage, how do I do that? By being totally still, not moving at all. But if I move my arm, it goes immediately into a medium shot. If I stand, it becomes a long shot. So you can regulate what the audience are looking at on a stage just by movement. And really, a lot of actors have clueless about it, but I figured it out. But not that it really means much, except that when you want them to, when there's something really important, stillness. But that stillness should also be when you're acting anywhere, in front of a camera. You don't, if you're in a close-up like this, if you move like that, it goes whoo, right out of frame, you're gone. So young actors, they're kind of a bit nervous, they're jigging around, and it's all over the place. Stillness, that's the key.
Malcolm, thank you so much for your body of work and how it's so inspirational. But I have a question. Do you have any hard and fast rules for how you've decided to conduct yourself in your stage and filmmaking work, and just in life in general?
Well, it depends. If I'm the leading man in a film, then you do what it says, lead. You lead, but not by being loud or this. I prefer to do things through humor. Have a laugh, keep it light, have fun. I remember my wife was laughing right up because we were doing a scene. It was an anti-apartheid movie in South Africa, directed by Morgan Freeman, starring Danny Glover, and I was the bad Afrikaans. And I had to go in and torture him or something. But before I went on into close-up, I would be doing silly walks and in and then going right in his face and giving him shit, you know. And my wife was just laughing, you know, because we're just playing, you know. I mean, it's a load of bollocks, really. Can't even believe they pay me for it sometimes. But they do. So, you know, a lot of actors say, you know, they're terrified that they'll wake up one day and then be found out. And I understand why, because, you know, when you've been doing it as long as I have, it's sort of second nature, you know. So there's really nothing I can't play. And in fact, the more ridiculous, the more I want to do it. Because, you know, it keeps me awake. I don't want to keep playing, you know, serial killers, nutters. It's kind of sort of boring after a while, you know. How many times, you know, can you make a nutter interesting? Well, I've tried everything, you know, I've done, I mean, the next time I'll be wearing a dress or something. I think I've even done that. It's interesting, you know, that I've just played this in a really cool movie, well-written movie. It takes place in 1970, and it's about this relationship between this kid and this guy who's like the patriarch of this East Coast family. They're pretty wealthy, but he's a raging alcoholic. And the family hired this Jewish kid to watch him for the summer. And it's like, and he measured out the exact amount of alcohol, and he's a tyrant, but in a fun way, you know, it's like, and I had so much fun doing it. It was great fun. So, you know, those are the kind of parts that I'll be playing now. Kind of get it. The worst thing ever, I said to a friend of mine I would do his movie, and he was Italian. And so he'd written this book, and he gave me the book, and actually the truth is I didn't really read it because it was in Italian, you know, so, but he told me what it was about, and went, yeah, okay. And just to encourage him, not that I wanted to play it, I said, look, write it, get it in English, and you direct it. Don't let somebody else ruin it. You may as well ruin it yourself. So he did just that. And I go out, I had a house in Tuscany. Every summer I'd go there with the kids. And I'd go out and he'd come over, we'd read his script. And it was the most diabolical character who was, it took place in Russia. So he was a serial killer who was a cannibal and a pedophile. I mean, it doesn't get any more than that. And I'm going, yeah, right, like they'll be rushing to make that. There's no way you'll get the money for that. So I'm sitting at home, I get a call, Mom, hey, we got the money. What? What money? Well, for what? What? You are kidding me. When? Oh no, I'm gonna be busy. I'm doing a movie. I'm doing a Robert Altman movie then. I'll call you back. And it was true. I was doing a Robert Altman movie. He calls back. No, we're not going to Moscow. We're now shooting Kiev. We're great. It will be at the same. No, we got it. We'll do it in March. So, what do? He's a friend. You know, I encouraged him. I mean, I made my own, you know.
Yeah.
So, I remember I found it really hard to leave the house to go to the damned airport. And I got to fly to Kiev where there's no good food. And besides that, I'm playing a pedophile who eats kids. I mean, how much fun is that? Where am I going to find the humor in that? So I get there, and he goes, Mark, we had apartments. He had an apartment above mine in this building. And he said, I've got all these tapes. He'd gone to Moscow to interview the real guy. But we weren't playing it as the real guy, but he was the inspiration for it. And I went, David, I'm not going to look at these tapes. We're not playing. We're not doing a biopic. He goes, no, I want you to watch. I went, okay. So as I'm unpacking, I'm looking at the screen with these tapes on, and suddenly I see this shot. The camera goes into this guy he's in a cage in a courtroom in Moscow. And he was holding on to the bars like this, and he looked like this when the camera comes in. And I went, my God, that's how I'll play it. So what I did was, to be able to live with myself, I played the part from the outside in, rather the inside out. So I built a facade, a character who had a walk, who had a stoop, who had a look, and incorporated then the emotion into that, like Olivier does. I mean, and it was completely foreign to me, but more interesting, so that the technique was completely different. Instead of me feeling it and then acting on that, the other way around. And it was really amazing. I could throw the costume off, go have dinner, such as it was, and it was incredible. I felt great about it, and it's one of the best performances of my career. In fact, it was really weird to do it that way, and it was funny because the first shot I had was in this bus, and I'm sitting there, in the Soviet era kind of clothes with these big glasses, and I just look out, and you can see the point of view is there's a child at the other bus stop on the other side of the street, and just as the bus, he gets up and gets off the bus, and the bus wipes, and what? And I said, are you going to see me cross the road? He said, yeah, I'm going to see you, full body shot. And I went, then I've got to come up with a walk. So I figured I kind of did something like this, like a sort of vulture. And I had a vulture in my mind, and crossed, and the whole crew were like, and it was really weird. Worked a treat. But you never see any blood in the film at all. In fact, the film is really interesting. It's called Ivalenko. It ended up being really more a film about, some person who's absolutely gone into a psychosis and can't come back. And he was very clever, the writer, that he sent this character off into a series of multiple killings and slayings because of glasnost, because the Communist Party, they woke up one day and said, we are no longer communists, we are now capitalists. And he lost his identity. And they were and they went through and won World War II, Stalingrad, and the glorious heroes, the 30 million Russians that died in World War II. It was staggering, the difference. And, working there, by the way, I've done a couple of movies there, and Russia, is an amazing place. And the Russian people I totally love. The Russian politicians are not so good. But the people are like American people. They're generous, they're warm-hearted, and they're smart. They're educated. They have incredible education. But they're completely repressed, and always have been. It's in their tradition of the czars and all that. They've been under the thumb, you know. That's the way they exist. Am I going on too long?
We are about ready to be done. Did you have anything else you want to add on?
No, I'll do one more question.
Okay.
You have to speak louder because
Real loud.
giggling behind me.
Yeah.
Shut up!
I recently have found you in Son of a Bridge,
Oh!
and you're adorable. I was really afraid that you were going to be cranky like you are in the show, but you're not. I wanted to know, first of all, just to tell you thank you for that show because it's adorable. But I wanted to know if there was anything out there that you passed on that you wished you had done, or if there was anything that you were offered and passed on, or wish you could have gotten into, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, there are quite a few, but do I regret it? No. And you know, what will be, will be. I mean, I had a reason to turn something down. I can't remember what it was now, but at the time, it must have been powerful enough to me to have said, I can't do it. I know that one instance I'll give you, when I'd done Clockwork Orange, I literally, it took me 6 months to get over that, physically, as well as mentally. And Richard Attenborough wanted me to play Winston Churchill in a film called Young Winston. This was young Winston in the Boer War, and I admire Winston Churchill. I loved everything. I read everything about him, and I just knew that it was wrong for me to play him after playing that thing, and so I kept running away from it. Said no, kept saying no, no, no. And they kept chasing me all over England, and I'd go off to another hotel. I couldn't do it, and you know what? An actor called Simon Ward did it, and I saw it, and I thought he was really good, and I thought the film was really boring, which is what I thought the script was. So I felt kind of vindicated, but I couldn't have been any better than the guy that did it, so I was happy for him. Okay, well,
All right,
thanks
everyone,
so
give it
much.
up.